Hello there, this is the Shadow Ranger, and I'm here to make a response to what is his name? Trademark629, his video Massive Rant on WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, and Fanboys. Just to be clear to start off, not familiar with your videos. This is probably the first one I've seen. I'm not a Ring of Honor fan. It just doesn't appeal to me. I am more of a fan of TNA, and I just want to respond to some of the things that you said in the video. I'm not going to respond to your criticisms of TNA. I don't feel that I can or should. It's just as how Ring of Honor's product does not appeal to me, TNA's product does not appeal to you. So there's nothing you're going to say that's going to make me a Ring of Honor fan, and there's nothing that I can say that's going to make you a TNA fan. So I'm not even going to bother mentioning that stuff. Okay. Response to your question. I actually have a video that I made yesterday answering this question, but I want to say it again because you brought it up too, and it's the whole why do I call myself a wrestling fan if I care more about the storylines than the matches? I call myself a wrestling fan because I watch pro wrestling and I find it entertaining. It's the same reason why I'm not a fan of American Idol. I don't find American Idol entertaining. I watch Monday Night Raw. I find it entertaining, so I watch. I don't find SmackDown entertaining, so I don't watch it. I watch TNA. I find it entertaining, so I keep watching. I don't find Ring of Honor entertaining, so I don't watch it. I find NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood to be very entertaining, and so I watch it. And I review it every week. Feel free to check out my review. So, what I want to explain to you is not all wrestling fans are alike. Some of us like different aspects of wrestling more than others. You, being a Ring of Honor fan, I'm going to assume that you care more about the in-ring product. I say that because you are obviously a Ring of Honor fan, and it's well known that Ring of Honor puts the majority of their focus on the matches. They pride themselves on having very good matches, and they do have very good matches. It is what they like to focus on, so I would assume that anyone who is a Ring of Honor fan is a person who is more interested in having good matches. I personally am not that I'm not as interested in good matches as you obviously are. I am more interested in the storylines. I don't need 5-star matches. I don't even need 4-star matches. I want like a 3-star match with a nice story. I want the story to be is more important to me than the match. Don't get me wrong. I like a 5-star match as much as the next guy. You know, I thought AJ, Joe, and Daniels at Turning Point '09 was an amazing match, and I loved every second of that. I also thought Undertaker, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 was really good. But yeah, I'm just a different type of fan than you, and not everybody's the same. Remember, TNA does not appeal to you, but about 1 million people watch it every week, so it appeals to them. And while Ring of Honor doesn't appeal to me, I understand that a lot of other people like it. I don't think Ring of Honor should change anything that they do. I personally just won't be watching it. Same as SmackDown. It bores me, so I don't watch it. But I'm not going to, but I will never insult the company, and nor will I insult you for being a fan. You like something that I don't. That doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong with me. I take an issue with people coming on YouTube and trying to insult you for being a fan of something just because they aren't. And I kind of think you were coming close to that insulting people who are TNA or WWE fans just because you yourself are not. But I would also like to pose sort of the opposite question to you. If you are not interested in storylines and only interested in the match, then why do you call yourself a wrestling fan? I mean, wrestling has been built on matches and storylines. They give you a storyline that that tells why the match is happening, makes you want to see it. I mean, would you prefer if there were no storylines, just watch wrestling? I wouldn't. I wouldn't watch wrestling if there were no storylines, but I also wouldn't watch if there was no wrestling. If you just had guys come out and do no wrestling and just do a wrestling show without wrestling, I wouldn't watch that. But if you took away all the storylines, I wouldn't watch it either. I think one without the other just doesn't work. I mean, if you're not interested in storylines, just the battle, the match, the fight, then why don't you just watch MMA? I mean, why, if you care about seeing the fight, why watch two guys have a choreographed fight instead of watching two guys have a real fight? I mean, because that's the reason why I don't like MMA. There's no story in it. It's like, if there were no, if wrestling didn't have storylines, I would just watch MMA, because I'm not gonna watch a fake fight with no story when I could just watch a real fight with no story. So like I said, again, if you're more of a fan, if you only care about the match, why don't you just watch MMA? Why not just watch people have a real fight instead of a choreographed one? I actually made a video on this topic, so I'll put the link in the description box so you can check it out, and it explains it more. As far as your comments on Ring of Honor and indie promotions, quote unquote, caring more about their fans, I've never been to a Ring of Honor show or an indie show. Actually, I've never been to a live wrestling event. I've only watched wrestling on TV. I mean, I currently live in South Korea, so it'd be impossible for me to go to any. There's not much of a wrestling scene here that I'm familiar with. But I would say that because TNA is a much smaller company than WWE, and Ring of Honor is smaller than TNA, and indie promotions are even smaller than Ring of Honor, of course they're going to treat their fans a lot better. They don't have any other choice. TNA, Ring of Honor, and indie promotions, they can't afford to lose any fans. I mean, imagine, 3 or 4 million people watch WWE every week. So if a few go away, they're still doing fine. If 100,000 people stopped watching Monday Night Raw, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. Imagine if 100,000 people who currently watch TNA just stop watching. That's a much more devastating blow. The smaller promotion treat their fans better because they have to. You have fewer fans, so every fan is a lot more important. WWE can afford to piss off 5,000 people. TNA can't afford that. Ring of Honor can't afford that. I mean, TNA's biggest attendance ever was 8,000 people. When your biggest show ever is 8,000 people, you have to treat every fan a lot better than the WWE would, because every fan is more important to you because you're so small. The same in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has to treat their fans better than TNA does because they have a smaller fan base, and therefore each individual fan is more important. Of course, Kerry Silken and Jim Cornette are out there in the crowd talking to fans, meeting fans, to make sure that the fans keep coming. They can't afford to lose any fans. Just like when TNA, Dixie Carter would be in the audience talking to fans too. I've heard many people talk about how they would go to an Impact taping or a TNA house show and meet Dixie Carter, and she would be there and ask them how they liked the show and ask them what they liked and shaking hands and taking pictures. The fewer fans you have, the more important each fan is, and the better you need to treat them. And as TNA has grown, yes, they've moved away from that. It's a little more difficult. I mean, look, the average WWE show has over 10,000 people. When you have 10,000 people at a show, you can't afford to go to shake hands and talk to each one individually. It's just not feasible. There's not enough time. Excuse me. By the same token, as TNA continues to grow and their audiences get bigger, they're not going to be able to give you the level of fan interaction that they can. People, I've heard so many people tout how great a live TNA show is and how everybody's so personal and you get to meet more people, shake hands, get autographs. Well, they have to. They need to do that to help them grow. But as TNA continues to grow and as it gets bigger, they're not going to be able to do that. It's just not going to be feasible. By the same token, the same will be said for Ring of Honor. As Ring of Honor continues to grow, and I hope it does continue to grow, I want there to be more wrestling. Even wrestling promotions that I personally am not a fan of, I want them to be successful. I have never and I will never wish anything bad on Ring of Honor. But as Ring of Honor continues to grow, they're not going to be able to do that. If you go to a Ring of Honor show and you're able to shake hands and meet Kerry Silken and talk to him for a minute or so, that's fantastic. That's great. But how many people were at that show? Was it a couple of hundred? Maybe 1,000 or so? Yeah, 1,000 people, you probably can do that for a while. If you got 5,000 people at a show, it's a lot tougher to give each one that personal touch that you would like to. Then get up to 10,000 people at a show. It's a lot harder. Then you get up to WWE levels where they're doing 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people at a show. Giving each fan that special attention that we all like is just not going to be possible. That's just something you have to accept. Yes, I imagine Ring of Honor house shows a very good experience, and you like being able to meet all the wrestlers and get pictures and meet Kerry Silken and talk to Jim Cornette. But as that company grows, the bigger that company gets, the less they're going to be able to do that. If 5 years from now Ring of Honor is pulling in 10,000 people per show, you're not going to get that hands-on treatment that you get now. It's just not going to be feasible. Feasible. Boy, I'm using big words. Okay. Let's see here. Saying that the HD Net TV show for Ring of Honor is not a good representation of the show, that's really bad. It's supposed to be a representation of your show. The TV show is what is supposed to progress the storylines and feuds and get me to buy a ticket to a show when they come and ticket to a pay-per-view. I mean, okay, I'm a fan of TNA. What if I said this is the exact same thing about TNA? I mean, how would this sound? Okay, TNA is a great company. You should buy tickets to their shows and order their pay-per-views, but don't watch their TV show. No, that's not a good representation of what they are. Instead, go watch this Best of AJ Styles DVD. Watch this Best of Samoa Joe DVD. Watch this Best of X Division DVD. Watch this Kurt Angle DVD. Here's a collection of really great matches from TNA that I put together for you and gave them to you. That would be pretty shit. That wouldn't work, because then that person's gonna see some great TNA matches and then think, oh, this is awesome, I'm going to watch their TV show, and then they watch the TV show and it's not going to be as good. Imagine how you would feel if I said, here's TNA, I put together a DVD for you, and I got like Angle Anderson at Lockdown and the Angle Jeff Hardy match from No Surrender. Here's both of the AJ Joe Daniels 3-way matches. Here's a few Ultimate X matches. And I gave that to you and you watched it. You were like, man, this is awesome. If I gave that to a person, they would love it. They would want to see more. And then that person went and turned on Impact. They're going to feel disappointed. Because although Impact is a very good show, which I personally enjoy watching very much, if I just put together the absolute best of a company and give it to you, then when you watch the show and see that not everything is like that, you're going to be disappointed. That's not a fair assumption. I mean, because when I heard you make that statement saying that the HD Net show is not the best representation of what Ring of Honor is, I just imagine that just made me that made you sound kind of like a hypocrite, because if I said that about TNA, me being a fan of it, or someone who's a big fan of WWE said that about WWE, I just have a feeling that you would trash them for saying it. I mean, listen to me say this. I mean, okay, listen to me make this statement, then I want you to tell me what you think when you hear this statement. Okay. Impact isn't a good representation of what TNA is. That's a dumb sounding statement. It's supposed to be a representation of what it is. You can't just say that. It just doesn't work. It's like you're saying this wrestling promotion is great as long as you don't watch their TV show. Sorry, brother. That just doesn't work. Let's see what else. This statement, and this part is not just directed to you. This is more directed to everybody who says this. This statement about companies not caring about their fans. No, it's not companies not caring about their fans. It's that wrestling fans are all different. No, it's this company doesn't care about you. I think TNA cares about me. They put on a show that I enjoy every week. I'm a fan of TNA, and I don't think that TNA doesn't care about me. Look, WWE fans like John Cena, so they get John Cena every week. I'm a fan of AJ Styles, so they give me AJ Styles every week. I imagine most TNA fans are fans of AJ Styles, and so he's on TV every week. You want to see good matches? Well, they give you good matches. Not every match is fantastic, but every match doesn't have to be. You know what? Every match on Impact wasn't great, but when I watched the Genesis pay-per-view this weekend and see AJ Styles versus Doug Williams, I'm quite confident that that's going to be a fantastic match. Every match doesn't have to be 4 and 5 stars. I just don't think that it has every match has to be fantastic. It's gonna burn you out. You know, if everything is great, then nothing is. You know, by the same token, since Ring of Honor doesn't appeal to me, I could say that Ring of Honor doesn't care about me. But that wouldn't be fair for me to say. That's why I don't say things like that. And I also throw this out to you. If the caring about the fans thing is so important and you feel that Ring of Honor really caters to their fans, then why aren't they a bigger promotion? If it was all about catering to your fans, then if catering to the fans is what's most important, and you say and Ring of Honor is the company that most caters to their fans, that most cares about what their fans want, then shouldn't they be the largest wrestling promotion in the country? Obviously, the people who watch WWE and TNA feel that the company does care about them, or else they wouldn't watch. If I felt that WWE didn't I watch Raw, I watch Impact, and I watch NWA from Hollywood. If I felt NWA from Hollywood didn't care about what I liked, I wouldn't watch the show. If I felt that TNA didn't care about what I liked, I wouldn't watch the show. And if I felt that WWE didn't care about what I liked, I wouldn't watch the show. I feel that way about SmackDown, which is why I don't watch SmackDown. I feel like WWE isn't trying to entertain me with SmackDown, and it's why I find the show pretty boring, and so I don't watch it. The same can't be said for Raw. I have my complaints about Raw, but overall, it's a very entertaining show, and I enjoy watching it every week. But my last question to you, and again, I also made a video asking this question. Check out my videos and give it a look. But I'm going to pose it to you directly. Why do you feel you need to insult TNA and WWE and their fans? Why do I have to quote unquote defend TNA? I don't ask you to defend Ring of Honor. I mean, if Ring of Honor is a product that you like and it satisfies you as a wrestling fan, then why do you still feel the need to insult WWE and TNA and their fans? Why don't you understand? Why don't you accept that not all wrestling fans are like you? Not all wrestling fans are alike. We all like certain aspects of wrestling, and we like them to different degrees. Like I said before, I'm more interested in the story than I am the match. So why don't you just accept that? I don't see a reason to attack me. like I said, look, I prefer TNA, but I don't have a problem with Ring of Honor or its fans. Ring of Honor just doesn't appeal to me. So this video is, wow, I'm already at the 20-minute mark. I didn't think I was going to be talking for this long. So those are just a couple things you mentioned in the video that stuck out to me that I wanted to mention, and I look forward to hearing a video response. Real quick recap of what I had to say. One, I'm a wrestling fan. Even though I care more about the story than the matches, I'm a wrestling fan because I watch wrestling and it entertains me. Two, if you care more, if you only care about the matches, then why not watch MMA? If you just want to see a fight, why not watch a real fight instead of a choreographed fight? Smaller promotions treat their fans better because they have to. The smaller your fan base, the more important every fan is. How can you say that the HD Net show isn't a proper representation of Ring of Honor? If it isn't a proper representation of what Ring of Honor is, then why don't they change the HD Net show to properly represent what Ring of Honor is? It should be a proper representation of what the show is. Imagine if I told somebody that Impact isn't a good representation of what TNA is. That would be I don't think you would let me get away with making that statement. Second, wrestling companies do care about their fans. Okay. Last, if caring about the fans is what's important, and Ring of Honor cares the most about their fans, and WWE and TNA don't care about their fans, then why isn't Ring of Honor the biggest promotion? And once again, not all wrestling fans are alike. So, this is the Shadow Ranger. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.